Starting off at number 10, we have the model and actress Cara Delevingne. The young celebrity took to social media to confess that the modeling industry has left her feeling hollow. Even though the well-known star has been making millions for walking down a runway, she still is not satisfied with who she is as a person, or who she was, because she quit modeling, and I'll get to it. She has stated that having a career in modeling makes someone feel so superficial that you actually forget who you are. The detrimental affairs that come with working in modeling caused for her to struggle with mental health and depression. She also noticed that when she wasn't spending her money on others, they were conveniently not around her. She admitted that she feels old and run down due to her career path, even though at her age, she's young, she should be enjoying herself and all the money that came with her fame. Good news is, like I mentioned, she has now retired from the modeling industry and is spending time living life for herself. Following along to our next spot at number 9 is Keanu Reeves. The actor is a household name that starred in some of the most popular films in history, which sounds like a dream. During his early days in Hollywood, he was met with partying, fame, and fortune, but it wasn't long for him to realize that this lifestyle was not fulfilling to him. Being as famous as he is, you would expect the actor to enjoy the finer things and enjoy his financial success. But on the flip side, he has been very vocal about how little he cares about the money that he makes. Throughout his life, he has been met with great tragedy with the loss of his best friend and fiance. It made him realize that he does not need the great amount of money that he has to live a real and happy life. Therefore, the star reportedly gave his entire salary from The Matrix away and is known for donating millions to charity. Additionally, he acknowledges that money is the last thing he thinks about, as the actor doesn't dictate success with money and holds no emotional value in fortune. This mentality has led him to live a happier and more interpersonal successful life. Good on him. That's all I gotta say. He does do a lot of charity work. Moving on to number 8, we have Kristen Stewart. Kristen found her big break and made a fortune being the leading lady in the Twilight franchise. Though this was not met with a lavish lifestyle filled with happiness, believe it or not. Her Twilight era saw major criticism of all kinds towards the actress, and even though it was a career-defining moment for her, she has tried her hardest to move past her role as Bella Swan. The actress has since taken many roles, but has fallen under the radar, some would say, compared to Twilight, we should say. Though this comes with satisfaction, as Kristen has tried her hardest to remain antisocial from the media because she could actually care less about fame and money. The star has stated that her intention was never to become famous and that she finds the most joy when she's enjoying her craft of simply acting. Many are quick to assume fame and money is just met with happiness, but she could not disagree more. And spot number 7 is Lindsay Lohan. The actress is not new to the fame and headlines, as she has been in the spotlight basically her entire life. Though during her teen years she was rich and a mess according to the media. The fame and fortune left the celebrity with numerous times in rehab and a lot of bad press. Though her troubles cannot be mentioned without acknowledging the influence that fame and money had in navigating her towards this behavior. I can only imagine how hard that would be. With an entire life lived in the eye of the public, with constant criticism towards her appearance, choices in romantic relations, her behavior was a reaction to this very unhealthy relationship that she had with her amount of fame. As Lindsay has aged, ironically, she's lost a lot of her fortune, though she's seemingly living a happier and quieter life. She's coming back. She has a podcast coming out, y'all. Moving on to the number 6 spot, we have the infamous Justin Bieber. The celebrity started his career very young and has been in the spotlight ever since he was 13 years old. Being in the spotlight at such a young age definitely comes with its downfalls, and it's known that he has had a very hard time in Hollywood. He's very open about it. With his mix-up with the law and disrespecting his fans, it seems like it's just bad behavior, but this all comes from a darker place. Bieber has confessed that he often struggles to get through the day for how lonely he feels when he's touring. He continued and also said that the fame and celebrity lifestyle rips you apart. When you can't just do anything alone, you get depressed, which doesn't seem like it should happen, but apparently it does. Justin said he would not wish this lifestyle upon anyone. Also, his song Lonely is basically to sum up this entire paragraph that I just said. He talks about how he can have everything in the world and still feel lonely. I was gonna sing some, but I won't. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Lady Gaga. The singer is one of the most well-known celebrities, let's be honest. In a revealing interview, the singer confessed her personal struggles with fame. She acknowledged that when she goes out in the world, she belongs to everyone else but herself. The singer also stated that she is upset about the fact that it is legal for people to follow her, to stalk her, and that she can't do anything about it besides simply accept it because of who she is. During the interview, the singer began tearing up talking about her helplessness when it comes to privacy and her personal well-being. She also stated that she has transformed into a different person since she has become a celebrity, and once she began getting recognized in public, it changed every interaction that she ever has with people. The singer confessed that she wishes she could go anywhere and just meet strangers without the factor of being recognized. Next in line on the countdown, taking the number 4 spot, is Selena Gomez. The young star's struggle with an illness always set her back, especially when she was originally trying to hide her lupus diagnosis from the public. Starting her career as a Disney child star, she has adapted her career to be the strong woman and talented singer that she's known to be now. But this wasn't done as swiftly as it sounds. Selena has admitted that during her Disney phase, she felt very violated because she didn't have any control over this because she didn't quite understand fame during that time. And while now she's more control over this as she has aged, she still isn't over her struggles of being in the spotlight. Being a young woman in the media, she is met with constant criticism, little to no privacy, and all her relationships on display for everyone to comment on. Justin Bieber, but we won't get into that. This has led the star to struggle with life in the spotlight and its effect on her mental and physical health. Therefore, no matter how many followers you have or how rich you are, the personal struggle and criticism is always going to be there. I think she is the most followed person on Instagram still. Fact check me, but I think she is. Or she's close. Taking one of the top spots at number 3 is Billie Eilish. The pop star sensation took Hollywood by storm at the age of 17, and she is one of the most famous celebrities in the entire world. Though being in the spotlight did not help solve her struggle with mental illness. Billie has constantly struggled with anxiety before and after stardom. The singer has even admitted that when touring, her anxiety is even worse, and there was actually a week on tour where she had panic attacks every night for a week straight. And only recently has the singer come out to reveal the struggle to live with Tourette's syndrome, especially when she was trying to hide it in the spotlight. Obviously that made things much harder. There have been many ways for which she tries to regain her personal self and hold on her privacy, and one of those ways is through her fashion. We all know that Billie is known for wearing extremely baggy clothes, but this choice was not because of preference. Well, it was because of preference, but there was a reason behind it. The singer has revealed multiple times that her choice to wear these baggy clothes is because she didn't want the world to just know everything about her, so it's kind of a way to protect herself. Continuing down the list, number 2, we have Demi Lovato. The talented actor and singer was once known for their time on Disney, starring in multiple shows while simultaneously touring the world for their music. But with all the money that came with this very busy lifestyle, it didn't compare to the constant personal struggle and exhaustion that the celebrity faced. And there became a point where Demi had to step back and take a break from the spotlight to choose to work on themselves instead of continuing their current mentally unsustainable lifestyle. After spending time in rehab and therapy to deal with their mental illnesses, Demi decided it was the right time to come back into the spotlight. This new Demi was a healthy-minded, body-positive person who wasn't worried about the money they make, but was more concerned on who they allowed into their life. Ironically, when Demi came back into the spotlight and was transparent about their mental health issues, they became more famous for being so true to themselves. Finally, we've made it to number 1, and we have Amy Winehouse. This is one of the more devastating cases on this list because Amy had such a successful career in the industry but was very abused in the media. You can actually check out her documentary, you guys. I think it's on Amazon Prime. It was so good. Anyways, check it out. Though no one can argue that her fame and fortune was very well deserved for her amount of talent. But even though Amy made millions during her short career in music, she had a lot of troubles. Her struggles were partially due to her substance addiction, but mostly due to her sudden rise to fame and how that put a great amount of stress and shock on her. With no idea of how famous she would become, she was unprepared for the fame that she received. Because of this great amount of fame, the media Lea began exploiting her for her addiction. Throughout this, she often got lost and felt depressed, which spiraled into getting involved with the wrong crowd and the wrong things. A number of people close to the singer shared that she had little to no interest in being a celebrity. The money meant nothing to Amy, she truly only wanted to be a singer. The singer did not have a big fancy house or any materialistic things that didn't really matter to her. Sadly, with the unknowingly amount of fame and fortune that she would receive, also just came a lot of depression and stress. In the documentary, y'all, it's really crazy to see what she went through.
And at number 10, Jennifer Hudson. Jennifer Hudson went through the traumatic experience of losing her mother, brother, and nephew on the same night of October 24th of 2008. Unfortunately, her family was targeted and killed by an assailant. After the incident, she went into hiding to protect herself from the world. She wasn't able to open up about her time away until nearly 2 years after. When she was featured on VH1's Behind the Music, she spoke about that time, saying, quote, "For almost 2 weeks straight, I was inside one room with just family and friends, coming in and out because of course the press was everywhere." She says at the time she relied heavily on her family and faith, and she did not want to speak to anyone. During this time, she was offered a role in a major movie, but decided to turn it down so she could focus on getting better. When she was finally ready to get back into the spotlight, she performed the Star-Spangled Banner to open the 2009 Super Bowl.
Starting off this countdown, we have Jerry Seinfeld. Have you seen that awkward encounter with Jerry Seinfeld and Kesha? My stomach literally hurts just watching it. Anyways, what happened was during a red carpet event, Kesha asked for a hug and he completely rejected her in the most awkward and cringy way. Apparently he has a strict no hugging rule, which I mean, that's fair. Okay, I bet he would get swarmed with fans walking down the street all asking for hugs. Not only that though, but apparently he has a bit of an ego problem. He isn't just rude to fans, but also interviewers and other celebrities and talk show hosts. Seth Meyers and Larry King both said that Jerry was very rude to them while on their shows. In our 9th spot today, we have Lindsay Lohan. Again, her last name is pronounced Lohan, okay? Everyone's been saying Lohan for years, but it was recently revealed that we're wrong. It's Lohan, not Lohan. Anyways, the downfall of Lindsay is actually a really sad one. Everyone loves Mean Girls and Freaky Friday, okay? She was in some iconic movies. Sadly, she went on to have problems with the law and substance abuse. In 2007, she was arrested and convicted twice. That same year, she went to rehab. From 2007 to 2012, she spent 250 days in different rehab centers. When she did get clean, she did star in a couple of shows, guest starring, but apparently she was very difficult to work with. She would arrive late and didn't want to film her parts. Sometimes she didn't even want to get out of her trailer. Starting off this countdown, we have Get On Your Feet. In 2014, during a show in Sydney, Kanye West ordered all the concert goers to stand up. He stopped his show to do this and singled out some people who weren't standing. He then told them to stand up. Little did he know that the person was not standing as they were using a wheelchair. It got really uncomfortable really fast and the crowd started booing. Imagine being singled out in front of an entire arena of people for not standing up. Meanwhile, you physically can't. Later, he said, "If you cannot prove to me that you are in a wheelchair, you need to be standing. If you can, it's okay, sit down."
And at number 9, Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle had one of the most successful comedy careers of all time, until he suddenly disappeared from his comedy show and wasn't seen in public for years after. In 2005, he was riding a wave of fame fueled by his hugely successful television show, but instead of continuing with Chappelle's show, Dave turned down $50 million and essentially went into hiding. It was later revealed that he went to South Africa, but he didn't talk about why. According to the LA Times, he'd cut off communication with friends, family, and professional contacts too. A few years later, he started doing comedy again and made some appearances at low-key comedy clubs. When talking with David Letterman in 2014, he said he was burnt out and needed a reset, and to spend more time with his family. Chappelle said, quote, "It's just you do what you feel like you need to do. There are other things in life that I do not purchase with money that are very valuable." And at number 8, Richard Simmons. In December of 2014, TMZ reported that Richard Simmons hadn't been seen by his friends in nearly a year. This is obviously very shocking, and led many to ask where he was, from being in danger or just going off the grid. All this led to the public demanding the LAPD do a welfare check at him on his home, which they did in 2015, and he was found in his house completely fine. But that didn't stop speculation. The National Enquirer even ran one story claiming he was transitioning into a woman. This prompted him to retaliate with a lawsuit. When the story got too big to ignore, Simmons told the Today Show, quote, "No one is holding me in my house as a hostage. I just sort of wanted to be a little bit of a loner for a little while." By March of 2017, it had been 3 years and he was still not seen out. The speculation surrounding him got so big, a podcast was even started to chronicle his disappearance. He is now back and even starting new projects.
In our 8th spot today, we have Amanda Bynes. Sadly, this is another amazingly talented actor that let drugs and alcohol get to them. In 2012 to 2013, Bynes was in multiple car accidents. She was charged with a DUI and was caught smoking. Over the years, she has been arrested for possession. She is currently under conservatorship, which means that her mother is her legal guardian. Now, she has changed a lot, okay? She goes on a number of rants on her social media, and she even drastically changed her appearance. Amanda is going through a rough patch and is sadly also suffering from mental health issues. I just wish her all the best because honestly, I loved her when I was a kid, and I'd love for her to get back into acting, but her health is the #1 priority right now. In our 9th spot today, we have the inappropriate flag. In November of 2013, Kanye West was spotted wearing a jacket with a Confederate flag on it. People immediately called him out, but Kanye being Kanye, he did not care. He said, and I quote, "React how you want. Any energy is good energy. You know the Confederate flag represented slavery in a way. That's my abstract take on what I know about it. So I made the song New Slaves. So I took the Confederate flag and made it my flag. It's my flag. Now what are you gonna do?" End quote. Now, a lot of people were not too thrilled about this, to say the least. In our 8th spot today, we have Justice. Believe it or not, but Kanye has a habit of interrupting people on award show stages. In November of 2006, during the MTV Europe Music Awards, Kanye went on stage after Justice won Best Video for We Are Your Friends. Kanye was a sore loser because he thought his video Touch the Sky should have won. Why? Because he said it cost $1 million and Pamela Anderson was in it. As he got on stage, he grabbed a mic and yelled, "Oh hell no! Oh hell no!" He then said, "If I don't win, the award show loses." He then goes on to say, "Nothing against you, man. I've never seen your video. Nothing against you, but hell no." In our 7th spot, we have Pants on the Ground. In 2012, while out with his then girlfriend Kim Kardashian, Kanye West had a pretty embarrassing wardrobe malfunction. The pair were spotted by the paparazzis getting out of a car when Kanye's pants slipped down low. But it left people wondering, why was Kanye's pants undone in the first place? Kim, what was going on in that car? Either way, he handled the malfunction pretty well, but the revealing photos are a little embarrassing.
In at number 7, Susan Boyle. Susan Boyle became an instant sensation after she competed on Britain's Got Talent in 2009. Before the show, she was a volunteer church worker with an amazing voice, but after she was a household name. In the middle of the show, she started to get bombarded by fans in public, with some even coming to her home and knocking at her door. It got so bad she was forced to move to an undisclosed location to wait out the end of the show, and so she could practice for her final performances in peace. Her brother John told People, quote, "She has had people banging on her door. It's been really terrible for her." Judge for the show Piers Morgan told BBC it was so bad at one point, Boyle was considering leaving the show altogether, saying, quote, "She is very distraught to the extent where she packed her bags and was going to leave the show." In the end, Boyle did not win the show, but it was the start of her massive solo career. In at number 6, Michael Jackson. At one point, the king of pop was the most famous person in the world, and his loyal fans and paparazzi were obsessed with him to the point they would stalk him in public and show up to his private home. Near the end of his life, one of his close friends exposed that Michael was so done with the fame, he wanted to go into hiding. That friend named Donny Osmond met Michael as child stars, and they connected on their similar upbringings. According to the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Jackson called Osmond about 18 months before he died. Jackson told him that he had rented a motorhome with his kids and he was hiding out from paparazzi in the desert. Jackson apparently said, quote, "I just want to hide. I want to get away from people." Osmond said that after that, Michael isolated himself from the world completely. Halfway number 5, J.D. Salinger. J.D. Salinger's classic book, The Catcher in the Rye, is one that I'm sure all of you have most likely read. I think I did either in high school or middle school. Since this book and the author are so famous, it's crazy to learn that he was a recluse most of his life. Even more shocking, the author passed away in 2010 at the age of 91 years old. In 2013, a book was released on the author's life, revealing just how reclusive and private that he was. It was suggested that he suffered from PTSD from his time serving in World War II. Allegedly, the author carried 6 chapters of his famous novel with him when he landed on the beach on D-Day. Shortly after fighting, he checked himself into an institution to help him cope with all he had experienced and seen during the war. Even more insane, after he left this institution, he signed up for more fighting, volunteering to defeat the Germans. One of the authors of this book claimed that the effects of the war made Salinger turn to a life of isolation. Apparently, Salinger's book was rejected by one publisher because they found him to be too unstable.
In our 7th spot today, we have Lea Michele. Oh man! Lea has literally been labeled as one of the biggest drama queens and divas in Hollywood. There's so much tea on her that I don't have time to talk about it all. But we have done numerous other videos on her, so you can check that out. Anyways, a number of her Glee co-stars have said that it's a nightmare to work on set with her. Others claim that Lea would bully and belittle them on set and made life a living hell. Also, a number of cast members of color have come forward saying that they felt that Lea's hate towards them was racially motivated. And she's also been known to start unnecessary drama on set. Also, she once called background actors cockroaches and even burped directly in the face of a stand-in. So, how professional. In our 6th spot, we have The Mask. On Super Bowl day, Kanye West was trending after posting a series of tweets calling out ex-wife Kim Kardashian and her new lover, Pete Davidson. Kanye West was later spotted at the Super Bowl with his 2 kids, North and Saint. But you might not have recognized him if you saw him. That's because he was wearing a full-on black face mask covering his entire face. Soon, he became a meme. We still don't know why he decided to wear this mask. Maybe it was because he was trying to hide his face after everything that went down that day. Who knows? But it ended up just attracting more attention to him. In fact, it seems like he regretted wearing it in the end. Comedian Judd Apatow was sitting near Kanye at the game and posted on Instagram a photo of Kanye wearing that mask. He captioned it, and I quote, "I'm sitting near Kanye. He seems very hot and sweaty in that mask." I overheard him say, "Man, I wish I didn't go with the mask today, but now that I'm in it, I can't really bail on it." So not only did he become a meme, but he regretted it because he was sweating and he probably didn't get a good view of the show. And then around halftime, he did end up taking off the mask.
Taking the very first spot on this list, number 10, is the famous supermodel Kendall Jenner. With her whole life being in the spotlight and her family having their own reality TV show called Keeping Up with the Kardashians, when she was growing up, there was a constant pressure on her, she said. A few years ago, the model shared her experience with anxiety and how she has experienced it since she was a very young girl. In an interview with Vogue, Kendall confessed that work culture and the consistent presence of paparazzi has set her anxiety out of control in recent years. Additionally, she acknowledges the privilege that she holds for the lifestyle she has and the fortune that she was born into. Though despite her privileges, she still has everyday and real life struggles that all humans do. Kendall ended one interview by saying, I quote, "No matter what someone has or doesn't have, it doesn't mean they don't have real life feelings." She was trying to make it clear right off the bat that no matter how much money you have, you still cannot buy happiness. Swiftly moving forward to the next spot at number 9 is Katy Perry. The musician has had many hits throughout her career and topped Billboard 100 in the US. With all the success and money that comes with doing what you love, how could this make Katy so unhappy, we might wonder. Well, the artist felt the constant pressure to always be number 1 all the time and to constantly have her name in the media. But with a couple song releases that weren't as successful as her past hits, Katy fell into a serious depression, leaving her to struggle even more internally. The pressure that came with being a celebrity in Hollywood tore Katy apart and her mental health suffered greatly, she said. Good news is, after acknowledging her mental health struggle, she's been focusing more on herself, her husband Orlando Bloom, and their baby, which has led her now to consistent happiness, and she's now making more music. So it's just wins all around. Moving up the rankings, taking the 8th spot is the Australian singer and actress Natalie Imbruglia. I hope that's right. With her life in the spotlight, Natalie has always been known to find great success in the industry, be extremely wealthy, but also very unhappy. This is because after Natalie's hit song Torn was released and well received, the celebrity fell off the face of the earth and wasn't seen for a while. The singer sold 7 million copies and is one of the highest selling debut albums by a pop and alternative female artist, so why did Natalie run from this newfound fame? Well, Natalie would later confess that it was was due to the fact that making a great amount of money and this newfound fame made her feel extremely isolated. She also made it known that the money she gained from the stardom gave her no real comfort because it led unwanted people into her life. I can only imagine how many people start crawling at you when you start getting fame and money. Moving up the charts, taking the number 7 spot is Robert Pattinson. Most actors try and cover up the roles they don't particularly like, but not him. The actor who starred in the very well-known Twilight franchise made it apparent how much he hated starring in that role. While filming, Pattinson's agents were so deeply concerned that he was going to get himself fired for his blatant honesty and careless antics on the film series. They were so worried that they tried their hardest to kind of like sort him out so that he could remain in the series. It had gotten to a point that Robert was so miserable for taking on the prominent role in the Twilight franchise that he had to stop just mentally processing that film and talking about it in interviews. Therefore, even though the Twilight movie series paved the way for his entire acting career, he was the most unhappy he could be during a time where his career was at the highest it has ever been and he was making a fortune for himself. He has since found other opportunities starring in a range of films, especially focusing on indie films, while also becoming the new Batman. That being said, his unhappy past while starring in the Twilight films will probably always haunt him, because obviously everyone just loves him from that movie. Taking the number 6 spot is the American actor and musician Corey Feldman. In his prime in the 80s, Corey was one of the top actors of all time. This was met with him making a great amount of money and partying with some of the biggest celebrities. But behind all of that, the actor described having a great amount of money to bring a lot of evil in his life. Corey would confess that when he was a young actor, he saw a great amount of wrong things happen behind the spotlight, and he personally was also taken advantage of. The fame and fortune he received by being one of the greatest actors of his time was met with the shocking and disturbing things that happened off camera in Hollywood in the 80s. Which is why, as he got older and left the spotlight, Feldman confessed that he was living a more humble lifestyle and wasn't as well off as he used to be, though actually enjoys living this happier and more simple lifestyle. We've made it to the halfway point. At number 5, we have Dave Chappelle. The comedian had a very well-received comedy sketch show. His show tackled heavy topics, but in the classic Chappelle signature comedic style. One would think a comedian that would make it in the industry would be ecstatic, especially since his comedy show was a hit with audiences. Everyone loved the show to a point where the network actually offered Dave $50 million to continue the show. However, he declined the offer. Despite the success of the show, Dave was struggling internally with the concept of his show and the message that it led across. He inevitably didn't want his message to be skewed and taken the wrong way. Therefore, he walked away from the show and the spotlight altogether. He also confessed that the fame was not the scary part that led him to leave the spotlight, but his lack of control over his fame scared him. And when it came down to it, even with a $50 million offer on the table, Chappelle chose himself and his own well-being over fame and a great amount of money. However, this decision has led to an even bigger controversy growing on right now between him and Netflix. You'll probably see it online right now. Articles are everywhere. He's boycotting them. Moving up the charts at number 4 is Kristen Bell. The American actress has been in a wide range of well-known films and TV shows such as Frozen, Gossip Girl, and Bad Moms. The A-list celebrity has made a name for herself in Hollywood, though her fame and fortune isn't all that it seems. In an interview with YouTube, the celebrity confessed her long and serious battle with depression and anxiety. She comes from a family with a history of serotonin imbalance, so it wasn't anything new for the star to grow up with. Even with the stigma against mental health, Kristen has no remorse speaking up about her battle with her own mental health, and even admitted to taking medication for her issues. Even with her being an A-list celebrity and having a great amount of wealth, Kristen continues to struggle with her mental health to this day. She has since become an activist on the matter and an advocate for mental health transparency. Taking one of the top spots on the countdown at number 3 is Ashley Judd. The well-known actress has appeared in People's Magazine's list of the top 50 most beautiful people in the world, but she still struggles with her own mental health and self-doubt. Ashley has had a great and successful career, but quickly learned that all the fame and money that came with her celebrity status just meant nothing for her happiness. Ashley's life behind the screen was met with great conflict and struggle, with having to endure abuse from her family, assault, and just being mistreated in Hollywood, and of course a highly documented terrible divorce. The actress knew if she could not control her mental stability and the issues going on in her life, the career she built for herself and the fortune that she gained was not worth her inner struggle. After being treated in rehab for emotional difficulties and mental health, Ashley emerged as a different person. Now she knows that she doesn't find happiness in the spotlight and making a great amount of money, so she focuses on her charity work and activism for mental health. Taking the second spot on this list is Harrison Ford. You probably know him as his iconic character in the Star Wars films, but he has been in a great number of hit movies and of course is one of the highest and most paid actors in Hollywood. But all this stardom and money is not the life that Harrison wants to live. In a 2010 interview, Harrison stated that the cost of fame well overtook the positives and fortune from it. He admitted that the negatives that came with fame was unanticipated for him and that he never enjoyed it. From the lack of privacy to not being able to go out in public in peace, and the money was just not worth having because he struggled to live a normal life every day that he very much desired. He knows how fortunate he is to have had the opportunities in the industry that he has had, but he didn't become an actor to become rich and famous, he says. He became an actor because he simply enjoyed acting. Because of his hatred for fame, the person who once loved acting and being in films is left with a grumpy man who just wants to live a normal life. Topping the chart by taking the #1 spot is Evan Peters. He is wildly praised for his acting ability, especially his disturbing and frightening performance in each of his roles in American Horror Story. But after starring in many seasons, he knew he needed a break from the disturbing show, as he said it was taking a toll on his mental health. As Evan explained it, he doesn't like having to tap into his darker side to perform disturbing scenes because that's just not the type of person he is. The actor has also mentioned that having to act as angry and dark as he needs to for the demanding show has really hurt him as a person and is changing him for the worse. For those reasons, Evan knew he needed to take a step back from his sought-out role in the series and stayed away from the horror genre of acting for 2 years after his final performance in the 8th season of the TV show. Fans hoped that this time spent away from the show would let him recover and heal from the trauma that it brought him.
We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the paparazzi. It's no shocker that Kanye West doesn't like the paparazzi. I mean, what celebrity really does? But some people handle their encounters better than others. Kanye is not one of them. On multiple occasions, Kanye has been caught attacking and belittling the pops. In one incident in 2013, Kanye got very physical with a photographer at LAX that kept hounding him with questions. Kanye got upset with him and lunged at the camera, trying to take it out of his hands. He then put him into a headlock and got him on the ground. The photographer reportedly was sent to the hospital after this altercation. And this whole confrontation was captured by other paparazzi members.
In at #4, Joe Strummer. Joe Strummer is the frontman for the band Clash, and years before his 2002 death, he became somewhat of a recluse. Back in 1982, the band started to struggle, so the band's manager Bernie Rhodes came up with an idea for Strummer to disappear from the public for a bit just to drum up publicity. The plan was for him to lay low in Texas, but before he was set to leave, he disappeared for real, telling nobody where he was going. For 3 weeks, not only did the public not know where he was, but his friends, family, and manager didn't know either. Weeks later, he was found living on the streets of Paris. While there, he ran the Paris Marathon and drank 10 pints of beer a night. Later, he revealed the whole thing was a mistake. This hardly helped with publicity for the band, and they broke up shortly after. And at #3, Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie is an interesting figure, being well known in the world of mystery and crime. She's also a best-selling author and wrote the world's longest-running play, The Mousetrap. For some reason, in the middle of her very successful career, she disappeared without a trace. On one random night, she left her 7-year-old daughter and drove off. The car was found abandoned a few miles away, but there was no sign of Agatha. Thousands of people came to look for her in that area, and nothing was found. Many in the town started speculating on where she could be. Could she be in danger, or could this all be some sort of stunt? 11 days later, she was found at a spa, checked in under the name Teresa Neal, who was her husband's mistress at the time. She went back home with her husband and never spoke about it again.
Moving on to #6, we have Mike Myers. Mike Myers has played a number of characters in iconic movies like Hello, Austin Powers, Shrek, Anyways, apparently he's a control freak and a perfectionist, which makes it hard for the cast and crew on set. Not only that, but according to his co-stars from Cat in the Hat, wow, throwback, he kept everyone waiting and even had someone feed him chocolates on set. Another time, while on Conan O'Brien, he had staff running around trying to complete his demands. He wanted silk non-dairy creamer, Twizzlers, and raspberry seltzers. When the interns didn't get him the right brands that he liked, he made them go back and try again. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Justin Bieber. Now it seems like Bieber is in a better place, but for quite some time he was acting like a big brat, according to a number of celebrities. As Justin started to get older, he started getting into a number of fights. He got arrested multiple times and he was involved with a number of drug scandals. He also would show up late to concerts and events. In fact, John Bovey called him out, telling him to get his act together. He's also pissed off a number of celebrities, including Seth Rogen and Bill Hader, okay? How do you piss off those celebrities? They're so chill. Anyways, according to Bill Hader, when Justin hosted SNL, he showed up with a 20-person team to set. He said, and I quote, he had a guy holding a piece of pizza, a guy holding a Diet Coke, and going around stage you're trying to fight through all these people to get dressed. Doesn't sound like a pleasant experience. Moving on to number 4 today, we have Charlie Sheen. The 2.5 Men star has done some pretty wild and highly controversial things over the years that have completely ruined his reputation. Like when he pulled a knife out on his dentist while undergoing treatment. Also, he's had a number of drug scandals, and then you have the scandal between him and his ex-wife, Denise Richards. Apparently, he was violent and physical with her on a number of occasions. There's also a rumor that he slept with over 5,000 different women. In fact, he was fired from 2.5 Men because of his wild behavior. Since then, he hasn't really done much acting. Coming in at number 3 today, we have Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres was labeled as one of the most kind-hearted and generous celebrities out there. She constantly gave back to charity and helped people in need. But a couple of years ago, it was revealed that she might not be the nicest. I'm sure you all remember that huge scandal, when people were calling her and her team rude. It started with one of her former employees tweeting, and I quote, "Right now, we all need a little kindness, you know, like Ellen DeGeneres always talks about. She's also notoriously one of the meanest people alive. Respond to this with the most insane stories you've heard about Ellen being mean, and I'll match everyone with $2 to the LA Food Bank." Now, this tweet had thousands of replies with unpleasant stories about Ellen. Even some celebrities piped up to share their stories. In the end, it kind of tarnished her reputation. In our second spot today, we have Naomi Campbell. Model Naomi Campbell has been labeled as a very difficult model to work with. In fact, she even has had beef with Tyra Banks and Rihanna. Apparently, she's very unreliable. When she books a job, people never know if she's gonna show up. So why bother even booking her in the first place if she's not gonna do her work? And then in 2007, there was this whole scandal in which she allegedly hit her maid in the head with a cell phone, and she was charged with assault. Yikes. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Katherine Heigl. When people think of worst celebrities, Katherine is always up there on the list. Apparently, she's one of the most hated actors in Hollywood, and people refuse to cast her now. It all started with Grey's Anatomy. Apparently on set, she would complain about her wardrobe, and on some days, she would refuse to get out of her trailer to film. And apparently, she would question the script every single day on set. Then in 2008, she said that she didn't want her Emmy nomination for her role in Grey's Anatomy because she felt that the writing on the show was bad. Imagine that. Being like, nah, I actually don't want to be nominated for an Emmy. You know, the show is actually bad. Like, it sucks. Why would you do that? Anyway, rumor has it that that's why she got kicked off the show. In our 4th spot today, we have "I'ma let you finish." This is the famous line that Kanye West said to Taylor Swift during the MTV Video Music Awards. Taylor won Best Female Video, and Kanye was not pleased. He hopped on stage and grabbed the microphone before saying that Beyonce deserved the award and not her. He said Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. Now, that moment was embarrassing for both him and Taylor. In fact, that was the start of a very lengthy feud between the two. In our third spot, we have Apologize. I'm sure you all are aware of the tragedy that happened at the Travis Scott concert and all the backlash that he received for not stopping the show as people were losing their lives. Well, later on, Billie Eilish was accused of throwing shade at Travis Scott during her recent performance. During her show, she noticed someone at her concert was having trouble breathing, so she stopped the show, waited until the fan got an inhaler, and was okay before continuing on with the show. In a video clip from the incident, Billie said, and I quote, "I wait for people to be okay before I keep going." That's when Kanye got defensive. He thought she was making a jab at Travis Scott. So Kanye took to Instagram to post a lengthy comment. He said, and I quote, "Come on, Billie, we love you. Please apologize to Trav and to the families of the people who lost their lives. No one intended this to happen. Trav didn't have any idea of what was happening when he was on stage and was very hurt by what happened. And yes, Trav will be with me at Coachella, but now I need Billie to apologize before I perform." So he literally was like, I'm not gonna perform at Coachella with Billie unless she apologizes. Billie responded with, and I quote, "Literally never said a thing about Travis, was just helping a fan." In our second spot today, we have the bathroom break. In 2008, while guest starring on Conan O'Brien's show, Kanye West randomly revealed that he had to go pee. The two were deep in discussion when he randomly said, and I quote, "Sidebar, I have to use the bathroom really, really bad." I mean, if you gotta go, you gotta go, okay? You can't help it, no shame. But still, his timing was very bad. Conan actually handled it very well though. He said, "It's added a sense of urgency to what you're saying," which I think is valuable. Nice one. And in our number one spot today, we have Skeet. Skeet is the nickname that Kanye West has given none other than Pete Davidson. Now, if you follow Kanye on Instagram, you know how wild his posts have been lately. Basically, everything he posts is about Pete Davidson. Now, you gotta stay following him because he will post something and then a couple days or hours later, he'll delete it, so you gotta be quick on that. Well, on Super Bowl Sunday, he posted a series of images calling out Pete, like posting a photo of him and Machine Gun Kelly in their Calvins and captioning it, "No, you will never meet my kids." His second post revealed a text message he got from Pete. And Pete said he hopes one day he can meet his kids and that they can all be friends. So it seems like Pete is ready to be mature about this whole situation, but Kanye is definitely not.
And at number 2, Melania Trump. The president and the first lady are public figures, so they're expected to be out at public events to represent the country when asked. Many Americans were shocked when the first lady was out of public for a whopping 25 days, which is basically an eternity in politics. After speculation, the White House announced that she was recovering from a kidney procedure, but a lot of the public did not buy this. Some even speculated that she left the president and his administration was trying to hide it. Hashtag Where's Melania Trump even started trending on Twitter with claims that there were body doubles posing as Melania. Political analysts went on TV and explained the absence was unprecedented. She finally returned to her First Lady duties on June 4th of 2018. When asked for more details on her disappearance, her team denied this, quote, citing the privacy laws to which Ms. Trump, like any other patient, is entitled. And finally, at number 1, Rivers Cuomo. Rivers Cuomo, the frontman for Weezer, is also quite the recluse. True to his hipster ways, he likes living off the grid in nature where nobody can find him. In a 2005 Rolling Stone profile, Cuomo said it all started with a Tibetan Buddhist meditation retreat. He loved the alone time. After this, he tested just how long he could go in isolation. One time he even spent 20 days in a closet in northern Massachusetts. But obviously this level of isolation can be unhealthy, which he proved after he trapped himself in his LA apartment after a failed record. When the album Pinkerton did not live up to expectations, he, quote, put fiberglass insulation over the windows and hung black sheets over the insulation, and painted all the walls black, disconnected his phone, and spent a lot of time with his pet gecko. Thankfully, he grew out of these ways and is now married with kids, but he's still openly searching for meaning in life other than just working and touring.
At number 10, Marilyn Monroe. Actress Marilyn Monroe was one of the biggest celebrities of the 20th century. She was an icon beloved by so many, and she was super successful in Hollywood. However, behind all of that success was a lot of sadness, and no matter how much money she had, it still didn't make her life much better. Though she had an estimated net worth of about $27 million at the time, a lot of that money couldn't make up for the hardships she faced behind the scenes. She already carried the trauma of her childhood, and according to biographers, Marilyn also struggled with her mental health health and found it difficult to cope with her fame. On top of that, each of her 3 marriages ended in divorce, she endured miscarriages and faced illnesses as well. She could buy whatever she wanted for herself and lived a pretty luxurious life, but she still had her demons that money couldn't fix. At number 9, Frank Sinatra. Frank Sinatra is considered by many to be one of the greatest singers of all time. I mean, he was one of my dad's favorite singers, so he certainly holds a special place in my heart. He was incredibly successful through his entire career and is estimated to have a net worth of about $200 million today. But as great as you would imagine the life of a famous singer to be, turns out that Frank was plagued with unhappiness, according to his son Frank Jr. Frank Jr. has told sources about what his dad was like away from the public eye, saying that his father was often withdrawn and seemed really sad. Frank Sinatra's daughter Tina has also commented on her late father's life, saying that she feels as though her father could have benefited from antidepressants since he was known to experience depression and mood swings throughout his life. The singer reportedly even tried taking his own life on a couple of occasions, so that really just shows you that you never know what someone is going through and that even the rich and famous have their struggles. Before we continue talking about celebrities and their struggles with money and happiness, I would first like to take a moment to ask you guys to consider leaving a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Princess Diana. Diana was the people's princess. She was loved by so many, made such an impact in a lot of people's lives, and gave back to those in need. She got to live a lavish life as well, as she was part of the royal family, but even with the fame and riches, Diana was terribly unhappy. She faced a number of hardships both in and out of the public eye, and a lot of the pain she experienced stemmed from her marriage to Prince Charles. Though the people loved them, they were not as close and in love as they should have been, and Diana felt trapped. It wasn't until her divorce that she was able to finally find freedom and start her life over again, but for the years leading up to that, the royal riches just couldn't buy her happiness. At number 7, Macaulay Culkin. Former child star Macaulay Culkin was brought into the spotlight very early on in his career. Upon reaching his peak in the 90s after the release of Home Alone, Culkin continued to have a pretty steady career and he made a lot of money, but this money ended up causing a lot of problems for him. He struggled with his own fame and by the age of 16 decided to take a step back from the fame. The actor also got emancipated from his family after his fame and riches caused a rift in their relationship. After getting emancipated from his family, Macaulay went down a dark path and started getting himself in trouble. After getting into trouble with the law and abusing illegal substances, the actor found himself back in the spotlight again, but this time for his fall from grace. Everyone knew him as the adorable child star from the 90s and soon his image became tarnished. He was on cloud 9 when he was younger, but soon when money started to become a big part of his life, it slowly started falling apart, which as you could imagine would make anyone unhappy. At number 6, Daniel Radcliffe. We all know Daniel Radcliffe for his iconic role as Harry Potter, but what we have neglected to realize is that he's been in the public eye since he was a child. Kicking off his career as the boy wizard back in 2001, he made a lot of money as a star of one of the most successful film franchises of all time. Though he became very rich and successful, Radcliffe also has had his share of scrutiny from the public. All the money and fame that he has can't take away from the struggle Daniel has had with fame since being a child. Speaking out about those struggles, Daniel has said, quote, "People will boo you even if you're a child," end quote. Daniel isn't on social media because he chooses to keep that kind of negativity out of his life, and these days things seem to be better for the actor, but for a while he wasn't happy with his place in Hollywood regardless of his riches. At number 5, Avicii. Tim Bergling, also known as Avicii, was a DJ, producer, and musician well known across the world. His death back in April 2018 shook the music world. Although he was known for producing some killer music, he struggled a lot with his image. Even though he was one of the most successful artists in the world, and having sold over 10 million albums and having a net worth of $50 million, Avicii was known to struggle with his health and his fame, even going so far as to take a break from music back in 2014. The DJ went on to say that the partying and wild times that are associated with his job are really what had taken the biggest toll on his health, and that he didn't enjoy that aspect of his job. During his break, he had 2 surgeries to remove his gallbladder and appendix, so he really did have a struggle with his health as well. Avicii sadly took his own life after struggling a lot with his mental health, and some believe that was mostly caused by his job and being unable to cope with his growing fame. At number 4, Britney Spears. I feel like this one is a given, especially after seeing everything she's been through. But Britney Spears has certainly lived a life of being rich but unhappy. She is still a very successful celebrity, having grown up in the spotlight and growing into a global sensation, and she's become incredibly wealthy as well. However, because of the conservatorship that governed much of her life, taking away a lot of her freedom and forcing her to do things that she doesn't want to do, she certainly wasn't living life to its fullest. She's starting to regain control of her life now, and she's even getting married, but Britney's case is a tragic example of the dark side of fortune and how it can be used to control people and their lives. At number 3, Gigi Hadid. You You would think that being a celebrity would grant you all of these amazing perks, and you would have so many friends because of it, but apparently that's not exactly true, and being a celebrity can be pretty isolating. At least that's what supermodel Gigi Hadid has said in regards to fame. Even though she's very rich and famous, during a 2019 interview with Elle magazine, Gigi has said that because of her job and maintaining her income, she's lost a lot of friends. Speaking on this, Gigi said, quote, "I've lost a lot of friends because I'll get busy for a short period of time and they're not reaching out, but if I don't reach out, then it's like I've changed," end quote. She said that because her work is so demanding, a lot of people don't understand how taxing it can really be, so when she disappears for work, some people don't really wait for her to return and just move on. To further explain her struggles with keeping her social life and work life in check, Gigi said, quote, "There are people who understand that I love them and who know that when I get back to town I'm going to call them, but sometimes I can't call every day because I'm in weird places, because a lot of the time I feel suffocated by my own work ethic and by the expectations I put on myself. It's really nice when you have people who say it's okay to take time for yourself," end quote. Her work has taken over her life, but it's not like she can really stop working because she needs to be able to support herself and her family. At number 2, Megan Fox. Megan Fox had a really good career until she was essentially blacklisted after having her reputation tarnished by Michael Bay. She made a lot of money, but the downside to this success was the typecasting that she faced as always being the sex symbol in whatever production she was part of. Throughout her career, Megan has been sexualized by Hollywood, and people have made comments about her appearance and personality, some of those comments being quite negative, and Megan has said that it's not fair that she and many other celebrities are just expected to treat this criticism as normal or part of the job. In an interview, Megan said, quote, "I don't think people understand. They think we should just shut the F up and stop complaining because you live in a big house or you drive a Bentley, so your life must be so great. But what people don't realize is that fame, whatever your worst experience in high school when you were being bullied by those 10 kids in high school, fame is that, but on a global scale, where you're being bullied by millions of people constantly. Not everyone understands that's the deal," end quote. I get upset just reading hate comments on the internet, so to experience that on a global scale is something that I couldn't even imagine. All the money in the world can't heal that kind of pain. And finally, at number 1, FKA Twigs. For singer FKA Twigs, she's had her fair share of grievances with her career, fame, and money. Though she's rich and successful, she still struggles with her place in the media. She rose to fame through her music, which already got her attention, but her high-profile relationships also sent her a new audience that affected her a lot. She experienced this when she was dating Twilight star Robert Pattinson. Because Robert had such a huge following, some of the attention rubbed off on Twigs, and a lot of that attention was negative. In an interview in 2015, the singer spoke out about her experience with fame in regards to her relationship, and she said that she was struggling with the public's perception of her. As soon as they went public with their relationship, Twigs found herself under a spotlight that she wasn't ready for, and speaking on this, she said, quote, "It's really hard. I can't begin to explain how awful it is. It makes you want to stop everything sometimes. It makes you want to smash your face into a mirror," end quote. Though she was struggling with the public eye, she did however say that it was worth it because she loved Robert so much. The boost in popularity gave her more fans and in turn made her more money, but at what cost?